Hello people, welcome to the stream of consciousness. I can cry and I am proud of it. I am a man and I can cry. And I will not cry for myself out of self-pity. In this case, I would not be proud of it. No. I can cry for others. And I can cry tears of joy. And I can cry in a situation that is beyond words. Alright. So today is a cold day, a grey day, a windy day. So it's a good day to be born new. See, awakening is being born new. So I cannot tell your story, I can only tell my story. And you have to make sense of your own story. Okay? So the first time we were born, we were 9 months roughly in preparation. Our mother carried us for 9 months. And then she felt the pain, and we probably too, I don't know, I cannot remember this exactly. And pain induced, we have been born into the cold world, the reality, so-called reality. And then we live in this time. I described it in former videos. We live in this world we're born in for several times, and we will reach limits of growth, like the inner shell of an egg that we are living in. Or we could also say, when we are born, it is just a new pregnancy we are living in. You know, the world, the universe, Mother Earth, whatever just carries us until, through some certain events or preparation, we will be born again. And it will be probably triggered by pain again. You know, in my case, I think it was too much of abuse, and this is coming with pains. And before you die yourself, or before you are destroyed, you rather choose to awake, to say, stop the train, I'm leaving, no matter what, I'm out, you know. And it goes in waves as well, and each wave is coming with pain, and the pain pushes you out into the cold world. And so where is the difference between being born new or awakened? You know, it is coming, you know, or with a real birth, a physical birth of a child, you know. It comes in waves, it's induced by pain, and it's necessary to survive. I don't see a difference, and today I try to speak to you without filters, straight, so you don't even have to read or listen or hear between the lines. I'm talking to you in clear text, you know, no sugarcoating. And for me, as I said, the awakening was triggered by, in my case, I felt abused in a narcissistic triangulation relationship. But it was also prepared by many things that I did myself. By the philosophy I read a lot of years before, and the biggest helper of my rebirth was Nietzsche, Friedrich Nietzsche, philosophing with his hammer. He made a good bed for my birth, you know, he destroyed all that old philosophy. I'm very thankful for this big thing he did for me, but he does many subtle and also loving things. He loves humanity, he loves his vision of how men should live. And I'm thankful for this, that he gave to me and prepared my being newborn. And I also did exercises, and I never knew exactly why I did them. It started with Wim Hof method. You can Google it yourself. It's cold exposure and breathing technique. Yeah, it's good for preparing for being born, right? You need breathing technique, and you will be exposed to the cold, so you have to be strong this time. Because being born always means to separate more, to do more individuation, to get further away from your parents, and at some point fully understand them and their history, their childhood, seeing them as what they are, not as that delusion of omnipotent, omniscient persons like half gods or whatever. No, seeing them as they are, and even seeing through them. And yeah, much more. I could go more into detail, but yeah, another thing I did that probably triggered my awakening too was an exercise. Whenever I took a bath in that warm, hot, cozy water, which of course is a condition like when you are in your mother's home, you know, still like an embryo. And then I just relaxed completely, and I let all the water flow out while I am very relaxed. And then when the water is all gone, I will stand up and switch on the cold shower and just take it the way it is, accepting it, taking it. Just a cold shower, just in my face, all over me. And this is for me. I didn't know why I do this, but I did this all the time. And I saw it as a kind of a ritual, because in my case, I told you, my awakening was also accompanied by understanding people, by understanding their childhood traumas. And this forms their personalities, the way they are, the way of their survival strategies. And this is how you start to see through people. And in my case, I also looked at me, and I was born very early, and I was in the hospital then in these kind of machines, you know, separated from my mother. And if I want to understand myself, I have to consider this too. And I think I very early started with one thing, and this was refusing to die and trying to get stronger through whatever comes my way. And the first thing was my birth was a very problematic thing, and I said, alright, I'm not gonna break from it, I will make it and get stronger from it, you know. And the same thing I adopted for everything intuitively. Starting with philosophies, I always only adopted what serves me. Because a lot of people would start philosophy or trying, you know, just reading very selective this and that, adopting very life negating philosophies, and then start thinking about their own life and coming to that conclusion it makes no sense. And this is going downhill then. You just go downhill from there. And this is why why Nietzsche was hitting open ears when I read him. He was enforcing my ideas, telling me I'm right, I'm not crazy. Just take the things that affirm life, that support you, and discard everything else. Filter only the 1% out of everything. And this gives me a understanding of myself. So a second thing that, or a second wave of waking up that I'm actually going through right now, and why I told you that I can cry, by the way, I didn't cry for 30 years, from all my adolescence age until now. And a good friend of mine, it's hard to say this now because awakening goes hand in hand with leaving everyone behind. But this person stayed, especially because he's far away from me. No, not because, but it's a different thing. Yeah, he has healing capabilities, and he opened these channels for me, with me together, and I'm very thankful for that. And again, proud of that ability. Yes, and so the first thing, again, sorry I'm jumping a little bit around town, but actually I know what I want to say. So the first thing again was that abuse, but an important step you have to make is admit what happened. So I admitted to myself I was abused, and I realized this. You have to take these steps in order to heal. Do not fool yourself. And another step in this case will be to forgive yourself for being abused and take all responsibility that you can. Part 1 is not let it happen again, step out of the situation. Part 2 is take the responsibility for what happened by saying I let it happen too. This does not take all the guilt of the abuser. Still, the abuser was the person in need, the needy person, the only one who needed something and took it from you. You can stand proud, you have been victimized and you have given the person, but you let it happen. This is just a fact. The person that was in need took from you and was dependent of you in this time, but you broke this dependence, and this person most of the time will have tried to create that illusion that you are actually dependent on the person. Alright, step 2 now. Step 2 for me, or the second wave that hit me, is when I successfully went supernova, pushed the people away and isolated myself in order to reorganize everything. I already did certain steps for this necessary healing, but then the world still reaches out in some ways to you. Can be that you still have people in your nearest circle, even though you almost left everybody behind, or you realize you're going up, you have to leave really everybody behind. Everybody who is still thinking it's about competition, comparison, and then you might realize, and this is coming back to that ability to cry, to feel, you might admit to yourself, it gets revealed through you, through certain situations, that you are highly sensitive. And again, for a man, it's not a contradiction to masculinity to be highly sensitive. It rather it requires a huge amount of bravery, actually, to not evade emotions, not evade the world, and not attack it. You not run away, you don't do fight or flight. You neither fight it and you don't flight from it. And you perceive it, you receive it, it goes through you. It happens within your stream of consciousness. And this is something that a lot of people cannot do. They have unlearned the ability. Either they are running away from this, from themselves and from the world, that they go for the shortcuts, the easy ways out. And the others, they always attack the world before the world has a chance to speak to them. They already tackle the problem before they really, they are so fast, they stand in the way of their own destiny as well, like those who run away from it, because they are too fast, they are too greedy and too much of a conqueror. They grab it and then it's over, And this other way of life is gang stalkers again. This other way of life is hard to describe. This world of the individual person. I tell you what, I'm not a chosen, you're not a chosen, you're not a Heyoka empath, you're not this or that. I tell you what a Heyoka empath is, Heyoka shaman, whatever. This is an idea, you can Google it, you can YouTube it, like everything today. It's a healer from the Native Americans, from the Sioux tribe, I think. And nowadays everybody thinks he's a shaman, he's an empath, he's the chosen one. But if you say I am that, you are in a delusion. You are an individual. You can be inspired by whatever you want. You can be highly sensitive. That is a modern expression, and it fits reality better than these other expressions, I think. You can be whatever you want, but be it as an individual person, not as these created self-images, categories, whatever I should call them. Okay? Excluded are every original members of the Sioux tribe that are living in their tribal society and work as Heyoka shamans. If you are watching me right now, I exclude you from what I said, okay? So, these things that happen to you, these waves of awakening, of rebirth, they can be quite intense. They are induced through pain and introspection and giving sense to whatever happens. It's your task to decipher and understand this riddle of life we are confronted with. And if you let your mind be guided by false preachers, by philosophers who were plagued by disease all their life, who sit down in the dark chamber and quarrel every day, you give praise to the devil, I say. But if you free your mind, if you make sense to these almost impossible to solve riddles, if you go through the pain intuitively because you know it makes you stronger and it actually contains the rare moments, the rarest moments of life that make life worth, that can at times reward you with tears of joy. Then I think you might have a realistic, no, not let me use that word realistic right now. You have a chance to live a life beyond the people who want to drag you down into competitive levels, who tell you, the people who see only 50% and you see 100% and they tell you what you're doing wrong. Then you can live your own life, your own way, and again, this will be beyond words. So keep on waking up and remember, as a man, you can be unflinching, you can be fearless, it can be okay for you to take on 3 men at the same time. You're not afraid, but you are still highly sensitive. You can cry. Yes, you can. It's not a contradiction. There is so much misconception. And the things that make the most pain and killing in the world, it comes from the understanding and the misunderstanding and the leading and misleading around words and ideas like love, family, democracy, religion, Jesus. Around these things, they are great ideas with a context. In the context, these ideas can emerge. They are meant to guide and help people, but the way they are used and misused, children, they lead to the worst things you could ever think of. Space and room for another video. But I wish all of you what you wish for yourself. And I wish for myself not what I want, but what I need. And I want to go from God, do it for me, to God, do it through me. And I tell you that awakening and being born, it's not a party, it's not a fun thing. But if you start doing these exercises, prepare yourself for it and read the literature, or you trigger this, better be ready for it. It will happen. It will happen, bro, sister. Love you.